prison in 2004 when they caught something more than just a little creepy in their footage. With a static camera set up in cell block 12, they captured a shadowy figure walk down towards their camera, turn around to walk away, and then disappear. Grant Wilson himself said, quote, "We've seen a lot of crap together, and this is something we have never seen," end quote.
Indeed. Ghost hunters, I mean, they were the first ones there. So
yeah,
and I don't want to give away for anybody, but if you haven't seen it, I know the footage that they're talking about.
Yep.
And it's up there for me with the lighthouse stuff.
Yes.
And it's amazing. So just go watch it. I'm not going to give it away. Go watch it. It's 15 years old. Go watch it.
It's really good. We actually, of course, were watching that as well.
Watched it all.
It was just amazing to see the equipment that they were using.
Yeah.
Compared to
old.
now, But they had to send out the video footage to be enhanced. So that tells you something right there.
And it was ancient. I just remember watching that going, what is that? What are they using? It looked like the stuff now that we put in the backseat with the kids on car trips. It's just watch, please just watch a movie.
Yeah, right. Here you go. All right. So if you have ever been to Eastern State Penitentiary for Terror Behind the Walls, which is their spooky tour, and they do, almost like a haunted house type of thing.
I was going to say, it sounds like it'd be like a Halloween thing.
Yeah. Or even for a daytime tour about the infamous prison, it's hard to deny that the place makes an impact on visitors. Simply walking past the massive, gothic, and looming building is enough to instill a creepy and overwhelming feeling. Inside the walls, staff members have shared some of their ghostly encounters. Creative director Amy Holloman, who was also the general manager of Terror Behind the Walls, has been working at the prison for 13 seasons and had her very first paranormal experience. Quote, "Prior to that, I had been a skeptic about paranormal activity. I wasn't the kind of person hoping to find ghosts or assuming there were ghosts," end quote. On mischief night during her first season working, she was cleaning paintbrushes with a colleague, knowing that they were the last two people on the premises for the night. She says, quote, "All of a sudden, in the back area of the room we were in, we started to hear these sounds, like a person was stamping something and then moving a paper over repeatedly. Then we heard the sound of a cup move. These were independent sounds, and they lasted for 15 seconds. It doesn't seem like that long of a time, but imagine if something is terrifying you, it's pretty long.
Shit, it seems long enough."
I literally learned what the word petrified meant. I was frozen stiff, end quote. Her and her colleague linked arms, and faster than their feet could carry them, they left the building in silence, too stunned for words. Holloman also works with the actors as part of her job, and two different ghostly accounts from two different people certainly sent chills up her spine. Quote, "According to many ghost investigators, Cell Block 12 is one of the hottest paranormal spots on site. An actor says to me one year, 'Amy, I cannot work on the top floor of Cell Block 12 anymore. Can you move my spot?' I asked him why, and he said, 'There's a ghost up there. When I was at the edge of the cell block, it looked like this woman was running towards me and screaming, and when she got close to me, she turned around and ran back.'"
Wow.
End quote. Holloman thought this account was weird, and because the employee was so freaked out, she promptly switched his spot. 3 years later, a totally different actor comes to her with a similar story about the second floor of Cell Block 12 being haunted. The employee told Amy after catching her breath from running into the room to find her, quote, "You'll never believe this, but I think what I just saw was a banshee. What? It was flying down the cell block towards me, screaming, and then turned back," end quote. Holloman also reveals a particular happening one year when a previous prison visitor had mailed back a bolt that they had taken from the site, along with a detailed letter. Amy said, quote, in it, they say they regretted taking it because they have had the worst luck ever since, end quote. The mysterious sender returned the bolt in a bag of sage, asking the staff to put the bolt back exactly where they found it. She admits, quote, for them to think that their lives took a turn for the worse since taking this object definitely says something, end quote. She isn't the only person on staff with a paranormal experience. Technical director James Travis also had his own vividly memorable moment with a spirit. He says, quote, it was close to midnight on a rainy and windy Friday during the fall of the year 2012. There was an event that evening and all of the other guests and staff had left the property, end quote. Travis then noticed a large steel pan that had been delivered for him in the building gatehouse and wanted to move it out of the way and just quickly decided to take it to cell block 12 as that's what was closest to him. Quote, I planned to put it just inside the gate, but the dolly kept sliding out of the way, so I had to use both hands to get the gate unlocked, and all of a sudden, I felt the presence of someone behind me. I knew that everyone else had left the property, so my first suspicion was that some miscreant had secluded themselves away and were up to no good. When I turned around, I saw a short man, only about 5'4", standing a few feet away from me. I instantly drew back, my fist ready to strike, heart pumping. Then I realized he was translucent and dressed in Civil War era military clothes. And then he disappeared, end quote. Later, Travis finds out that Eastern State Penitentiary was in operation during the Civil War. So could this be a soldier who died in battle and has now found himself inside the walls of this prison after death?
Possibly. I mean, the prison, like, from my part of the story, I mean, they had Revolutionary War general go through there, so it was definitely open during the Civil War.
I know. Isn't that creepy, though?
It is
like,
creepy.
That's like people who actually work there. Like, they spend a lot of time there.
You know what? If you ever, and people, listeners, if you ever go to Eastern State Penitentiary and you take something, you know, start no shit won't be no shit. You put it back.
Yeah, right?
Put it back.
Or just don't even take it in the first place.
Just don't take nothing.
Like, if you believe in the paranormal and you're going to ghost hunt, you know that's what happens.
You don't get to take nothing unless a ghost gives it to you himself.
They're like, oh, here you go.
Yeah, right. And the Banshee thing, it made me think, you ever seen the movie 13 Ghosts?
Yes.
It reminded me of, like, the Jackal.
Yes.
The crazy one. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, shit.
But that's funny because it's like usually a woman who screams, which is very similar to what the first actor said.
I got the inclination that there wasn't many women prisoners there.
No, because, I mean, at one point you said that they sent the women away, but there's not any really
They weren't there. They didn't.
noted.
They didn't even take women in for that long, and then they left and went to another prison. So, I wonder what would have had to have happened for a female spirit to be left there.
I mean, maybe they could have worked in the kitchen or laundry.
Probably did some
or,
bad stuff to her.
You know what I mean? Like somebody who worked there as a staff member, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
I don't want to say what I'm really thinking because it's terrible, but it bums me out. Okay, let's go on with the story.
Okay. Well, for this part of the story, I need some music, sir.
Would you like some music?
I would love some music. There we go. Many other people have reported intense activity in many different parts of the prison as well. It is said that cell block 12 is an area of high, intensely paranormal activity, where cackling and whispers are heard. Disembodied laughter can be heard ringing throughout the halls, and the apparition of a prisoner is seen constantly roaming the halls of the place that once was his living nightmare. In cell block 6, Shadowy figures are often seen sliding and creeping their way along the walls, and the sounds of whispers, screams, and laughter have been heard by many of the staff during their rounds. In cell block 4, many have seen frightening, ghostly faces inside of the cells and have heard loud whispers, either distant or right in their ears. On one specific occasion in this cell block, a locksmith named Gary Johnson was removing an old lock from a cell door during the restoration process and had an extremely vivid and terrifying experience. He described having felt as if he was overcome by a presence that was right there with him, watching him intently. He looked up quickly, but found nothing and no one there. Continuing on with his work, the feeling once again came over him. But as he looked around once more, this time he saw a shadowy figure leap across the cell block right in front of him. A commonly reported experience many people have seen is a figure of a guard in one of the watchtowers. Perhaps it is one of the former guards who finds himself destined to stand watch over the walls of the prison for all eternity. On the 3rd floor of one cell block, numerous visitors have said they have heard the sound of heavy and massive cell doors suddenly opening and then slamming shut, with a sound that reverberates through the whole building. The catwalk is an area where many paranormal events have occurred. Here, many shadow figures have been caught on video. People have also felt extreme temperature fluctuations, and one visitor captured a clear Class A EVP of a male voice saying, "I'm lonely." One particular spirit has been seen in the older part of the prison by many. He is said to be a shadowy form that stands perfectly still, sometimes completely unnoticed, until he is approached, at which point he quickly dashes away after leaving fear-stricken people in his wake. Visitors and staff report disembodied screams, cries of pain, sadistic laughter, and whispers throughout the entire prison. Others have reported the sounds of cell door handles jiggling, sounds of metal and wooden furniture being dragged across the floors, large objects rolling on the roof above, and ghostly footsteps that echo through the halls. Many have seen sudden orbs or streaks of light appearing and moving right in front of their eyes. They have also felt unseen people that tap them on the shoulder, or they get overwhelming sensations of being watched, and in general have intense feelings of dread. No matter the type of paranormal activity one may experience here at Eastern State Penitentiary, it without a doubt will be terrifying. Many of the spirits that are left behind inside these walls lived a tortured and lonely existence in their last years of life. The sad and terrible energy that has been left behind after almost 200 years of being open, many of those years with cruel punishment, mental and physical anguish, and lost hope, has embedded itself so deep in the walls. It's no wonder the living can still see and feel it to this day. A place that was built to house the worst kinds of people and it seemed